Good afternoon, Namibia. Welcome to our daily lunchtime news show. My name is Ashwin Bedi, and this is NMH at 1. Let's have a look at incoming news this morning. The Ministry of Finance, together with the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources, today announced the outcome of the fish quota auction that took place on 16 April. According to the press statement, the Hague auction raised a total of 189.9 million Namibian dollars from the sale of 15,948 metric tons, inclusive of 40,000 Namibian dollars raised from application fees. Of these funds, 183.9 million have already been deposited into the State Revenue Fund at the Bank of Namibia, and the balance of 6 million Namibian dollars will be settled next week. Now let's have a look at our COVID-19 update. Here is the situation with regards as it stands in Namibia after yesterday's latest official announcement of the latest figures. More than 417,000 individual tests have been processed by Saturday. More than 11,000 new tests were done over the last 7 days, showing an increase in testing. Namibia has since March 2020 confirmed 55,141 cases. More than 1,500 cases were reported over the last 4 days at an average of close to 400 per day. Active cases stood at 3,863 by Saturday, and the overall recovery rate at 91%. Deaths related to COVID-19 increased to 824. The fatality rate is currently 5 deaths per day, slightly less than the 6 to 7 deaths per day reported a week before. Total first vaccinations stand at close 68,000, while almost 8,900 people have received their second dose of vaccine. Health workers make up 10% of first vaccinations and 21% of the second vaccinations recorded so far. Close to 50,000 people have spent time in quarantine to date. Just more than 2,000 were housed in official facilities by Saturday, and over the last 7 days, entries were almost double the number of exits. A total of 1,583 individuals entered quarantine, while 875 were discharged countrywide. Next up, we'll be bringing you video news clips from around the country. In our first story, homophobia. A small group of Christians marched against homosexuality and the repeal of the sodomy law in Windhoek yesterday. The group underlines that they do not believe in hurling insults against the LGBTQ community, but are aiming to invite them to join their faith, as they believe this is a cure for being gay or lesbian. Yana Marie Smith was there.
Homosexuality is satanic and demonic.
The SWAPO Party youth wing leader over the weekend again dismissed concerns that his description of the LGBTQ community constitutes hate speech or could incite violence.
I'm not imagining any violence to anybody, because I already mentioned satanic, and I said to, and by the way, I said it to our government today, we can't discuss satanic and demonic activities, and that's it. I did not say go and beat up. We are saying, for now, government must discuss about bread and butter issue. We must not entertain demonic and satanic activity because it's against our immoral.
We are marching.
Members of several Christian churches marched this weekend against the legalization of homosexuality, but they emphasized that they do not support the verbal attacks lobbed against the LGBTQ community and preferred a different approach to the debate.
So our message is of hope. So I will not call them
that they are satanic, that they are evil, that they are sick and stuff like that. I would just say that they might need counseling. We all need counseling, you know, and they need love. I would say that they need the love of God. Because if I condemn them, then there's no solution. You get it? But if I tell them that there is actually counseling for you, there's a better way, there's love, God loves you, you know, because sometimes it's our own perspective, our own mind. So we're just a group of young people. We have seen what's been happening lately in the newspapers, on TV, and so forth. And we believe that we also have a voice to say. Yeah. So I personally, I have colleagues that are the opposite, and I don't judge them. I love them for who they are, but I have to stand for what I believe in.
The group believes that being gay is not always a choice, and they believe that through their religion they can be cured.
I realized that it is not always a choice that the person themselves make, and that homosexuality is a spirit and it needs to be rooted out of people, whether they are cognizant of it or not. It causes so much hurt, it causes so much disappointment, it causes so much embarrassment. And this is why I realized that it's not always a choice, because who would choose that kind of life? I am a proponent for standing up for what you mean and want to display, and that's why I'm here as well. And I want to share to people that are going through the experience that's currently going through. There are people that are married that are going through this, and sometimes they don't know how to get out of this. The first step would be is to recognize that it's not right. And to seek help, to seek spiritual help, to change your mind, to realize that it is possible. And I am living proof that it is possible.
The prayer march this weekend was based on the belief that everyone can air their view peacefully and in a dignified manner on the debate of LGBTQ rights and equality in Namibia.
Even though everyone has the right to freedom of speech and equal rights, but we still, as a church, we believe that it's immoral.
Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed. That punishment and that judgment will come upon the nation. If they do it individually in the houses, that judgment is on them. But we as a Christian, we want them to realize that it's a mind control. They are controlled by a foreign entity to believe that it is right.
If it's legalized or not, if it comes to parliament or not, that's not our business. The same way the homosexuality people, they walk and they march and they do their part, we're also just doing our part. And the rest is unto God. God will decide if yes or if not.
Now, in our next clip, for the first time ever, the Nedbank Kapana Cook-Off was hosted in Swakopmund. 3 winners were chosen to go through to the final round in the capital later this year. According to Judge Philip Kleinsmith, it's all about making Kapana a dish worth serving in our best restaurants. Irene Marie van der Walt was there.
The result today was really, it was very close. It is fantastic to see the competition here. So it's very good also to see people who've taken part for 2 or 3 times already, and that they've learned that the thing is the kapana and the salsa that we get to this competition getting better each year.
All right, guys. So first of all, I'd like to call up, please step forward and give her a big round of applause, Lina Ipinge. Come forth. Another big round of applause. Please step forward. Asnat Vetamunisa. And ladies and gentlemen, last but not least, please step forward, Laura Ehumbo. Ladies and gentlemen, these are your top 3 contestants for the Nedbank Kapana Cook-Off Coastal Edition. Please give them a big round of applause. And to the rest of our contestants, thank you so much. Also give yourself a big round of applause, guys. You guys have been wonderful. You're more than welcome. You can please have a seat.
The next clip is all about indoor soccer. There were plenty of skills on display when the 064 all-day West Coast 5-a-side indoor soccer tournament took place at the Dorms Indoor Sports Center in Swakopmund on Saturday. Adolf Kaure submitted this awesome clip.
The manager is approaching. First on the ball!
Now let's have a look at the front pages of the papers circulating in Namibia. We start off with the Allgemeine Zeitung, which leads with a story about protests from the OvaHerero Genocide Foundation and the Nama Tribal Leaders Association against the Namibian government's genocide agreement with Germany. They demand direct reparation payments as well as the return of land that once belonged to the Herero and Nama. Germany's Foreign Minister Heiko Maas, in the meantime, welcomes the conclusion of negotiations after almost 6 years. The Namibian Sun focuses on civil societies that are warning that government risks falling short of its vaccination targets if the process is not inclusive and consultative. According to the vaccine rollout plan, up to 290,000 people from 7 targeted groups should be vaccinated in light of the government's vaccination drive. The Republican reports on another incident that includes a train from TransNamib. Only 4 days after 9 TransNamib fuel trucks derailed and caught fire at Brakwater outside Windhoek, another train accident occurred at the Kransberg train station between Karibib and Usakos. According to Johnny Smith, the CEO of TransNamib, it was a very bad week for TransNamib. The Namibian also leads with a story about the genocide negotiations with Germany. Traditional chiefs from the Maherero, Kambadembe, Gam and Tareua royal houses have rejected the German government's 1.1 billion euro offer, saying they want 8 trillion Namibian dollars paid over 40 years as well as a pension fund. New Era 2 reports on its front page about the genocide negotiations, stating that Namibia's International Relations Minister, Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, appealed for patience amidst growing criticism over government's handling of genocide reparation talks. And now it's time for us to have a look at what's happening inside the papers. On its page 3, the Allgemeine Zeitung reports about the corona measures that have been tightened in view of the rising COVID-19 cases. Health Minister Kalumbi Shangula described the control measures as liberal, though, in contrast to the ones that are applied in other countries. On page 3, the Namibian Sun writes about the statement of Defense Minister Frans Kapofi that the BDF's shoot-to-kill policy is not a standing policy of the Botswana government, but rather acts of indiscipline by rogue soldiers. He called on his counterparts in Botswana to urgently address the excessive force by its military against Namibians living along the border. The Republican on its page 3 reports about Namibian LGBTQ supporters that still insist that the secretary of the SWAPO's Youth League, Ephraim Nekongo, should resign following homophobic attacks that they say are reminiscent of apartheid-era rhetoric used to discriminate against minority groups. On page 3 of the Namibian, you can read up on a story about the Namibian Tourism Board that is depleting its cash reserves as the industry continues to suffer blows with the ever-changing travel restrictions, according to the NTB Chief Executive Officer. New Era on its page 3 in turn focuses on the denial of the National Arts Council of Namibia that it engages in corrupt practices. My name is Ashwin Meri. I've been covering for the incredible Priska Anyolo. I will be back tomorrow. Until then, this is NMH at 1. Next up, weather.